So here is a tragic story. Grandparents and their grandchild dead from a driver going the wrong way on the 401 after he had allegedly robbed a liquor store. Chrystia Freeland says what Brian Lilley is going to tell you right now, because he's my guest. How did she respond when people are saying, who's responsible for this guy getting out on bail?
So she was asked about the fact that this gentleman, Mr. Singh, now deceased, was out on bail. Not once, but twice, by the way.
Right, he had a record.
And she said that it's not very Canadian to bring that up. I'm sorry, but you've got a baby dead. You've got the baby boy's grandparents visiting from India dead. And maybe this hits me hard because I remember when my first child was born and my grandmother came from Scotland to visit. And the thought of that happening, you know, her driving down the highway with my baby boy and being killed by someone going the wrong way, and you say it's un-Canadian to bring it up?
They had gone quite a bit. So other people were just terrified of this guy going the wrong way. So is it un-Canadian then, do you think, to ask who's responsible for this? Is it un-Canadian to say, well, our bail laws need to be reformed? What's un-Canadian about it?
So Chrystia Freeland said that, well, our government, the Trudeau Liberal government, has already done bail reform. And to a degree they have, but only at the insistence of every premier across the country, including Liberal, Conservative, New Democrat. And they brought in changes, but it's only for people already convicted of multiple violent offenses. In this case, the guy was charged with a bunch of crimes in January, including, robbing liquor stores, robbing Home Depots, let out on bail. Goes and does the same thing again, this time including with stolen vehicle. Told he's not allowed to drive, told he's not allowed to go to an LCBO, but let out on bail, even though
in any event, he's out on bail.
He broke his bail conditions, he was out on bail again. I'm sorry, once you're breaking your bail conditions, I don't think you get bail. But the Liberal policy is still release them as soon as possible with the least onerous conditions.
So, two issues here, Brian. One, the bail system stinks. It should be reformed, even though they're saying it's reformed. It's not reformed when that happens. And then the second thing is, the Deputy Prime Minister saying it's un-Canadian to even question who would be responsible for this. Like, does our government not have any responsibility for things? Is that what they want?
To her, what's un-Canadian is raising the fact that her government's policies help result in these deaths. That's what she doesn't want brought up. That's why she's saying it's un-Canadian. It's just like when the Trudeau government says misinformation or disinformation, it's normally because it's a story they don't like, not because it's not true.
And so you write for The Sun, Post Media, and that network puts out these stories. I don't see them anywhere else. Well, talking about independent news.
Well, that's because a lot of people just take what the government says at face value. And really, you shouldn't with any government. Like, look, this is not a partisan thing.
Yeah.
The old line about politicians and scorpions, like you don't blame the scorpion for stinging you, you don't blame the politician for lying. Trust but verify with all of them.
Trust Brian Lilley. 3 minutes. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government. And as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.